Hello students, welcome back to Programming in C language. This is your Programming in C language subject. Myself Sreekanth. Today I am going to be discussing about computer fundamentals. The topic is generations of computers. The today agenda of the session is generations of computers with suitable examples. Okay. So if you are missed the previous sessions, I explained clearly about various uses of applications using in computer application softwares, suitable examples. Okay. If you missed the session, kindly go through that session. After that, you try to listen this session. Okay. The link I given in the description. Yeah. What is generation? Yes. Generation is a step in technology. It provides a framework, is nothing but what structure for the growth of computer industry. Generation is nothing but what is a step in technology. It was used to distinguish between various hardware and software technologies in the development of computer. Due to technological advancement, different changes have come in the computer system. Simply you can understand here, generation is nothing but what is a step in technology. Okay. Coming to the computer generations of computers, 5 generations are there. First generation computers came to the picture 1942 to 1955. They used vacuum tubes are used in first generation computers. The second generations 1955 to 1964 period, transistors are used in second generation computers. The third generation 1964 to 1975, integrated circuits are used in third generation computers. The fourth generations 1975 to 1989, microprocessors are used in the fourth generation computers. See what we are using, all personal computers, laptops, these are all belonging to what? Fourth generation computers. They used what? Microprocessors. And the last generation is what? Fifth generations 1989 to still present. It is still in development somewhere, some industry, some parts they are going to be implemented. Okay. Artificial intelligence, best examples like robotics. See, coming to generations of computers, we have 5 generations of computers are there. First generations in the year 1942 to 1955, vacuum tubes are used. Second generations 1955 to 1964, transistors are used. In the third generations 1964 to 1975, integrated circuits are used. The fourth generations 1975 to 1989, microprocessors are used. The fifth generations are nothing but artificial intelligence. Okay, we try to discuss in detail one by one generations. Okay, coming to the first generation computers. See these the generation computers used vacuum tubes as the main electronic component responsible for processing of data. Remember, the first generation computers, vacuum tubes as the main electronic component. It responsible for what? Processing of data. These computers were physically large in size and required large rooms for installation. Here, see, it going to be looks like that. The vacuum tubes is going to be looks like that. Okay, see, this is about what? Vacuum tube. It occupies more space. Okay, and these first generation computers what? Very larger in size. It going to be occupies very half of the room, or sometimes the one room. It going to be occupies that much of space. Here, the first generations magnetic drums were used for what? Memory storage. See, they are going to be used what? Magnetic drums were used for what? Memory storage. These computers produced large amount of heat due to large consumption of what? Electricity. These computers required continuous maintenance and proper cooling with the help of what? Large air conditioners, because it is continuously heating. Due to that reason, here more air conditioners are going to be required. They were relatively what? Unreliable, as they could produce inaccurate results sometimes. Okay. Input was based on what? Punched cards and paper tapes are used in the first generation computers. They perform slow input output operation. Why? Because in this generation completely it understood what? Machine understandable language. Okay, the best examples you can call UNIVAC. UNIVAC is nothing but Universal Automatic Computer. EDVAC, EDVAC, Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer, and ENIAC, ENIAC, Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. IBM is nothing but what? International Business Machine. IBM 701, IBM 650. These are all the best examples of what? First generation computers. So these computers are what? Having limited programming capabilities, limited commercial use. It's not that much of reliable. It completely supports what? Machine understandable language, zeros and ones representation. Okay, we need to give instructions in the completely in the form of what? Machine understandable. It is somewhat costly, and it generates what? Lot of heat. For that maintenance we need to provide additional it going to be like air conditioners are going to be required. It consumes lot of electricity power, performing very slow input and output devices operations. It is very huge in size. Okay, see, this is what first generation computers. The main component for processing data is nothing but what? Vacuum tubes. It's going to be represented in this manner. Okay, it looks like that. Okay, so this is about first generation computers. Yes, we try to discuss some advantages and disadvantages here. Yeah, vacuum tubes was the only electronic component available during those old days. See, that period of days only vacuum tubes is available. Those computers were very fast to calculate. Vacuum tube technology made what possible? The electronic digital computers, easily available and somewhat expensive. They were capable of making arithmetic and logical operations. The best examples they used UNIVAC and ENIAC. UNIVAC is nothing but what? General purpose electronic digital computer. Okay, so this is the best example. ENIAC is nothing but what? First programmable electronic general purpose digital computer, performing what? Several numerical operations, numerical problems. Okay, several disadvantages are there. First thing is what? Costly, very big in size, very slow, somewhat accuracy and reliability is very low level. These computers completely based on what? Vacuum tubes, very costly. Okay, and it occupies more space. Okay, and that to be there stored magnetic drums for storage. Okay, whatever the data operations you are going to be doing, the storage is going to be done through what? Magnetic drums. It requires more large cooling systems. Why? Because it generates more heat. Maintenance is going to be required. The efficiency is somewhat very less. They used punched cards and punched tapes. Paper tapes are going to be used. More energy consumption required there. Limited programming capabilities. Not reliable that much. Keep on constant maintenance is going to be required for what? First generation computers. Okay, we can also call vacuum tubes. So this is about first generation computers. Coming to the second generation computers, around the time 1955 to 1964, they are introduced transistors in the place of vacuum tubes. They are introduced what? Transistors. See, these generation computers used what? Transistors in place of what? Vacuum tubes. They were much smaller in size and required lesser space for installation comparing to what? First generation computers. Here, magnetic tapes were used as a secondary storage device. So in the first generation, magnetic drums are used, but in second generation, magnetic tapes were used as a secondary storage. They consumed less power and therefore lesser amount of heat was generated as comparing to what first generation computers, but still here air conditioning was required. They were highly reliable and lesser prone to hardware failures as comparing to what first generation computers. They were about 10 times faster than the first generation computers. Here it going to be suppose some high level instructions that computer for what performing various tasks. These computers were more versatile than the first generation computers. Here some high level input and output operations speed than comparing to what first generation computers. See, the commercial production of second generation computers were limited and costly. See, these are all the major points involved into the second generation computers. Here you need to remember transistors are used in the place of vacuum tubes. In the first generation computers, magnetic drums are used, but in the second generation computers, magnetic tapes are used for what? Secondary storage devices. It is faster comparing to first generation computers, smaller in size. See, this is what looks transistors. Okay, comparing to the vacuum tubes, the transistors are going to be very smaller, and the size of the computer also smaller comparing to what first generation computers. It is more versatile. It improves some input output operations. Okay, instructions. It improves some instructions comparatively. The first generation, second generation, some high level instructions are going to be passed. Okay, the best examples Honeywell 400, IBM 7094, CDC 1604. CDC is nothing but here Control Data Corporation. Okay, and Univac 1108. These are all the suitable examples for what? Second generation computers. Okay, yeah, you need to remember here transistors are introduced in second generation computers. Several advantages and disadvantages there in second generations. It is smaller in size comparing to first generation of computers. That is the advantage. It is more reliable. Okay, second generation computers were more reliable, used less energy, and were not heated as much as the first one. Wider commercial use, better portability as compared to the first generations, better speed and could calculate data in microseconds, used faster peripherals, used assembly language as well. Accuracy is going to be improved comparing to what first generation computers. Several disadvantages also there, like some cooling systems still required here. Constant maintenance was required. Somewhat costly and not versatile. Still, it is costly. Commercial production was difficult. Only use it for what specific purpose. Still, there some punched cards were used for what input purpose. See, these are all several disadvantages still maintained in the second generation computers. To overcome these problems, again they introduced the next generation computers are called third generation computers. But remember, in the first generation computers, vacuum tubes are used. In the second generation computers, transistors are used. Coming to the third generation computers, integrated circuits are going to be used. Okay, in the third generation computers, integrated circuits are going to be used. ICs, simply we can call shortcut ICs, were used instead of what vacuum tubes and transistors. See, comparatively previous generations, the size of the computers were smaller. You can able to see. See, this is what transist. This is about what integrated circuits. Comparatively, transistors and vacuum tubes, these integrated circuits are what smaller in size. Here, magnetic disk used for what? External storage, and the storage space available in these computers was much more than the previous generation computers, like magnetic drums. Okay, in previously they are going to be used what? Magnetic drums are going to be used and magnetic tapes are going to be used. But coming to third generation computers, magnetic disk is going to be used for what? Storage purpose. It has more storage comparing to previous generations. Comparatively previous generations, it consists what? They were more reliable and lesser prone to errors than earlier computers. They had high processing speed than second generation computers. Here they introduced monitors and keyboards were used for what? Output and input devices. Some development of standardized high level languages like Pascal, Basic, such standardized high-level languages are also introduced in what? Integrated circuits in third generations. Somewhat maintenance cost of these computers are what? Very less comparatively previous generation computers. Okay, they were general purpose machines suitable for both scientific and commercial applications. Okay, see, you need to remember some points here. It occupies less power comparatively previous generations, more reliable than the previous generations, high processing speed comparatively previous generations. Here improved input and output devices, okay, comparatively previous generations, and also introduce some high level languages like what? Pascal and Basic. Maintenance cost is less comparatively previous generations. The best examples like PDP-8, PDP-11 here, PDP, okay, and ICL 2900, IBM 360, IBM 370. These are all what suitable examples for third generation computers. Here you need to look out some major points in the third generation computers. They are introduced for what? Integrated circuits in the place of transistors and vacuum tubes. See, and magnetic disc are going to be introduced for storage purpose. Comparatively, previously magnetic tapes and magnetic drums, and improved peripheral devices in the third generation computers, and also support some high-level languages like Pascal and Basic. So these are all the advantages for what? Third generation computers comparatively second and first generation computers. See, coming to advantages, simply I can tell here smaller in size, better speed, more reliable, less heat production, easily portable, totally general purpose, less expensive and better accuracy, commercial production increased, used mouse and keyboards for what? Input devices, good storage, improved storage, secondary storage capabilities. Maintenance cost is low because some hardware failures are going to be what? Very rare situations. I told you in the roughly all these points. You can check it out here. These computers are what? Cheaper comparing to what? Previous generations. They were fast and reliable comparatively previous generations. Here used ICs, integrated circuits are going to be introduced, providing what? Small size of the computers comparatively previous generations. These generation of computers are what? Big storage capacity, improved in the storage, secondary storage devices, okay, storage level, and improved peripheral devices like input, output devices like keyboard, mouse, and so on. Okay, these computers are what? Improved computational time also for microseconds, nanoseconds like that. Several some disadvantages was there in the third generation computers. They are lot of case required for what? Air conditioning. Still required some additional air conditioning is required. Highly sophisticated production was easier and cheaper. Physical sensitivity is decreased. Okay, here IC's chips are difficult to maintain. The highly sophisticated technology required for the manufacturing what? IC chips, air conditioning is still required. These are all some drawbacks and disadvantages for third generation computers. Okay, yeah, to overcome these problems they are introduced fourth generation computers. Okay, in the fourth generation computers they are used what? Microprocessors. They are introduced what? Microprocessors. High speed microprocessors were used in the fourth generation. It is millions of electronic components were integrated on a single microprocessor chip. It's going to be processing very high speed. That to be it represents very smaller in size and comparatively cost of remaining processing of previous generations. This is what? Less cost. Okay, and it occupies less power consumption. Okay, simply I can tell they were much smaller and cheaper than third generation computers. They consumed less power than previous generation computers. They were more reliable and less prone to hardware failures than previous generation computers. And maintenance cost is also what? Negligible. They had faster and larger primary and secondary storage as comparing to what? Third generation computers. Here it's going to be improved primary memory as well as what? Secondary storage memories. Okay, they had faster and a larger primary and a secondary storages. Here they are going to be introduced what GUI. GUI is going to be enabled. Graphical user interface applications is nothing but it available everything like that. It is available buttons, several components like checkboxes, text, okay, fields, like radio buttons, all GUI user related, user friendly related components are going to be introduced in the GUI based application. Best examples you can take all notepad, wordpad, antiviruses, mp3 players, video players, whatever we are generally interacting with this computer, all those applications were what GUI based applications, okay, introduced in fourth generations. And it uses of standard high-level languages allowed program to be transferred from one computer to another computer. So see here introduced several high-level applications, network-based applications, web applications, enterprise applications, mobility applications, embedded applications, like several different high level, from low level to high level, all kind of applications we can able to develop in the fourth generation computers. It supports more input and output devices or other terminals than previous generation computers. See, comparatively previous generations, this generation computer supports what various uh, several input output and terminals also supported. Okay, yeah. See, this microprocessor is going to be looks like that. See, this is about microprocessor chip. It going to be looks like that. Okay. Next, network of computers enabled sharing of resources like disks, printers, etc. like among multiple computers and users. I told you, right? It supports network-based application. We can able to sharing the resources from one machine to another machine. Okay, they were general purpose machines used in what application development. So in this generation computers, we are going to be developing several user required applications. We can able to develop. It supports all high level languages like C, C++, Java, .NET, PHP, Python, Perl, like mobile based applications, Android, okay, iOS, like all different types of high level programming languages. We can able to develop those high level programming languages. Using those high level programming language, we can develop the related applications. Okay, the fourth generation computers, it supports all kind of input output devices, terminals, and so on. The best examples like IBM 4341, DEC 10, okay, Digital Equipment Corporations, VLSI, very large scale integration. Sometimes we can also call it is VLSI, very large scale integrations. Okay, see, these are all comes under what fourth generation computers. At present we are using in our home like personal computers, laptops, okay, mobiles. These are all comes under what fourth generation computers. Okay, right here PUP 11 also there, like potentially, okay, unwanted program. It is like different things are there available in the market. Several advantages, disadvantages there in the fourth generations, like more powerful and reliable than previous generations, small in size, cost of operation was very less, the fan for heat discharging, and thus to keep cold some sinkers are going to be added in the motherboard. Heat generation was negligible, fast processing power with less power consumption. Comparatively previous generation, here not required that much of air conditions, but if it is there, well and good. Okay, see, less need of repairs, commercial production, all type of high level languages can be used in the type of computers. Okay, see, comparatively previous generations, it is going to be what less cost. Okay, so these are all what various advantages. So simply you can remember here, fast processing speed is there. Okay, it supports all high level languages, all user friendly related input output devices. Several terminals are going to be enabled in the fourth generation computers. So with the help of what microprocessors. So this microprocessor is going to be calculating any kind of instructions, millions of instructions, okay, within a nanoseconds it's going to be executing it. Still some disadvantages is that highly sophisticated technology required for the manufacturing what LSI chips, VLSI chips. Okay, simply we can call, they had less storage capacity and need further improvements. See, here already there I told you, right, data measurement units in the previous video sessions, like bits, bytes, kilobyte, okay, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, hexabyte, zettabyte, yottabyte, like it going to be supports all different kinds of data measurement units. Okay, fine. See, this is the advantages and some disadvantages for fourth generation computers, but still we are using at our level these microprocessor related generation computers in our home or office or education environment. Okay, different sectors. Okay, yeah. So everyone is clear. It going to be looks like that microprocessor. See, the last generation still development, their artificial intelligence. Okay, some areas they are going to be implemented, but still it is in development. These fifth generation computers are called artificial intelligence. Okay, see, based on this artificial intelligence are still in development. Artificial intelligence is a branch of what? Computer science, concerned with making computers behaves like a humans. So I told you, right, in the fourth generation computers, what is the main problem? Until unless user should give some instructions, it cannot do the job. Okay, see, simply I can tell start computer, off computer, it cannot do. We need to start explicitly. Okay, we need to stop. Once you started, it's going to be processed automatically, but explicit instruction is required. But coming to the fifth generation computers, they are going to be implementing like computers behaves like what? Humans, automatically based on the situation, and it going to be understanding, it going to be executing the particular job. It is portable computers called notebook computers are much smaller and handy than fourth generation computers. These fifth generation computers are several times more powerful than what fourth generation computers. They consume less power than earlier computers. They are much more reliable and less prone to hardware failures than previous generation computers. They have faster and larger primary and secondary storage as compared to previous generation computers. More user friendly interface with multimedia features like the system easier to learn and they use by anyone including children's also. Okay, see, it consumes less power, more powerful, okay, more reliable, faster, and so on. Here they are introduced what? ULSI, ultra large scale integrations. In the fourth generation computers, they used what? VLSI, very large scale integration. But coming to fifth generation, they introduced what? ULSI, ultra large scale integration. Okay. See, the best example you can take like robot. So you can able to see here robot. See, this is the example for what? Fifth generation computers. Okay, fine. See, automatic jobs where they going to be do, that all comes under what? Artificial intelligence only. Some advantages and disadvantages, still it is in development, but I added some points here. It is faster than previous generations, easily portable, easy to handle, less prone to hardware failures, more reliable and work faster, highest possible storage capacity, development of true artificial intelligence, advancement in parallel processing, and superconductor technologies. Okay, see, the main thing here, the robots is going to be automatically do the job instead of telling every time the instructing, not required in the fifth generation computers. Some disadvantages still there. They need very low level languages and tend to be sophisticated and complex tools and somewhat costly. Okay, so this is about fifth generation computers. Yes, we had discussed in detail about in this session about generations of computers, very important for the examination, especially for basic computer skills. There this question there is a chances comes in the examination. Okay, so we discussed first generation computers like vacuum tubes, second generation computers like transistors, okay, and third generation computers like integrated circuits like ICs, fourth generation computers like microprocessors, okay, and fifth generation computers is called artificial intelligence. We used ULSI, ultra large scale integrations. I hope everyone is clear about these generations of computers. Okay, thank you all. If you like my videos, make it more likes and subscribe, okay, for more updates of next coming sessions. Thank you all.